Hey, what's going on? I'm Corey and I run a successful AI automation agency that has turned 50 grand in profit in the last 5 months. And also doing this while building it with a staff profile of about 7 people. So I get asked questions daily, how'd you get started? What do I need to do from client's point of view? Is this a growing industry? Are we continuing this way? And I get a whole bunch of questions from either fellow automators or from clients themselves, or just people testing the industry. So what I thought today is I would do the top 3 questions that I get asked from both parties. And we're just going to go deep dive into them, give about 2-3 minutes answer per one, and really just show you my thinking behind a lot of it and experience of what I've learned being in the trenches every single day, really. So the first one that I always get asked is, how do you get your first client? How do you get started? Now, my first client came from Upwork. So I followed Nick Sariv. He does a fabulous job in sort of helping people understand the landscape in it. And best places to start. But I got mine within 4 days of actually starting the automation space. I was still learning automation, and I was not proficient, I will tell you that. I learned many lessons that you'll see in my last video. I go through it all, and let's just leave it at that. Many lessons learned with that. It was a great experience, but it really gave me a taste of the industry. So what my job was is there was 96 PDFs in a Google Drive. And my job was to take these 96 PDFs, use ChatGPT to interpret them, and then add them to a knowledge base for a AI agent to then take this and for the staff to actually ask it questions. And then this would obviously can be used for a VA and stuff as well. So how I did that is I applied on Upwork. I've done lots of outreach, whether it's emails, whether it's LinkedIn DMs, but the first one was just applying on outreach, did a Loom video, and introduced myself, kept it casual, no selling, talked to their benefit. And really once I got a taste and we secured that first client, I sort of knew at that point 2 things. 1, automation's hard. But 2, and I was way over my head, so maybe 3 things. And 2, it was definitely the path that I wanted to go down, this, going into a business and able to streamline or contribute a system that ends to their goal, right? Because they have their goal here and what they're standing about here. But the thing that they need that's stopping them is automation in here. So it allows us to sort of bridge this gap. And in a way, it's very helpful for people. And as you sort of go through the automation space, you realize that this goal isn't just, maybe it's not just like an efficiency, maybe it's actually finance. So, it can be like lead gen, or it could be efficiency, or it could be payroll, or it could be any type of these different business models. And business is sort of what I excel in. I've got a lot of experience in business, so going in and coming in and saying, oh yes, I can put this automation right here between you and your goal, and we'll put the bridge there, and it makes a nice pretty bridge, like this terrible bridge. And that's how I got started. So there's many ways you can do it, whether you do cold emails, whether you do cold calling, even going to businesses and just I know quite a few people that get started and they're local and they just go to restaurants and they sell AI calling agents. So it doesn't need to be as complicated as applying on Upwork or going on LinkedIn and doing a range of methods. You could just literally go across the road to whatever business is closest and ask them, what do you want to do? Or, hey, I noticed you're busy. I personally have a fish and chip shop across the road, and they are slammed every day. If I started again, I would most likely go over there and say, I'll give you an agent for free for the first 7 months to answer the phone calls, take your orders. For the first 7 days, not months. I'll be out of business instantly. And then sort of build it from there. Okay, you've had a test. This worked, obviously. let's implement this long term, and let's really adjust the prompt to make it right. That's how I'd sort of approach this whole question. Number two, is it too late to jump on the AI trend? And like, I agree, the AI is moving incredibly fast. I could learn. I do a lot of customized solutions with Blacklight, my own agency, and it's difficult keeping up with the amount of new things that there is that's coming out daily, right? There's, I open my computer and there's 10, 20 new things a day, but a lot of it is just recycled dashboards. So people, I've got this new tool that does this. This is awesome. And it's great, but a lot of it doesn't actually contribute to businesses. It's just fluff, really. So is it too late to jump in the AI trend? Absolutely not. I think there's a lot of need for actual quality work, especially along the strategic side. You think about if we go to a local grocery, supermarket, grocery, whatever country you're from, and there's maybe 50 different milks you can get. How do you pick which one to get? We're looking at this shelf. Let me see if I can draw a fridge shelf of milk. This is us here. And we have rows and rows of these milk cartons, snacks, whatever you want to use for an analogy. This person's looking at it, and this person represents clients, and they're going, which one do I want? I don't know if this is right for me. I don't know if this is right for me. So although there's a sort of an AI product that service or does everything, there's one thing that does something, combine them all together, it does everything. There's not really, it's just causing an overload to the people looking at the milk shelf, like, holy shit, that's a lot of milk. Like, which ones do I pick? I have a lactose free, I have high, low, full cream, no cream, almond, everything, right? And that's sort of the approach you need to take with the AI trend. So it's not too late to jump into it. Is it too late to, sort of go into like make.com and stuff? Possibly. I think there's a lot of 2026 would be very, very interesting in that space. I think a lot of it will move to, a lot of prompting, and Copilot's a very good example of Microsoft Copilot. All they need to do is they do that, and Copilot and ChatGPT agent mode had a baby, and we have a very, very strong contender where we could just log into Make and build this for me, and it'll take control of your screen and build it. So in terms of the AI trend as a whole, no, definitely not too late. In terms of, jumping into specifics, it really depends what you're looking at doing. So that's my opinion on that. Be the person that sort of is here and it says, this is the one you want, grabbing it. And then this can be the client. And then this is you. And that's the best approach for whether this is consulting, whether this is adding that extra offer to saying, hey, I'll do a roadmap for you. So for example, ours, we do a roadmap for clients, and we do exactly this pretty much. We take it and then we sort of build it in terms of the flows. But there's always a roadmap consult session. Number 3, what do you think about the future will be for AI automation? I think it'll be very simple. I think it'll be far simpler what it is. If you look at a graph, we sort of had, and this is maybe simplicity going higher. So as we go higher, it gets more simpler. We sort of had like a graph like this happen, where this was Zapier, and it was very easy, but it wasn't super, super powerful. It was powerful when it first came out. And then we had Make, which was a steep learning curve from Zapier. And then people started getting hold of Make. And then N8N, once you sort of got the grasp of it, N8N becomes easier as well. Now, whether we're sort of going to keep going up to simpler, or we're going to go down, I personally don't think we're going to go down. I think everything will get simpler and simpler. I think Make was a good example of, hey, here was can we make it easy? Okay, yes, we've made it easy. Okay, can we make it hard? And like, how far can we push automations to? How much, when we start building in like API points, how much can we actually customize these HTTP calls? And that's where we sort of had this decline. We were sort of pushing the system saying, what can we actually do with this? And that's where we sort of got a deeper learning curve. Once we got to about here, we said, okay, we know we can do this. Now we understand how we do this. And then they built another system such as N8N, which is just as powerful, but made it simpler than Make once you get the hang of it. So now we have the power, now we have the speed in line with Zapier, and we have the power in line with this. With Make, now really the only way up is to keep going easier and easier. And I think that's the way it logically, it wouldn't make sense to me to actually have another decline and make it really, really hard to learn a new platform, because we're sort of bordering, N8N's very borderline, the coding, when we're going into like Python and stuff, there's not too much difference from this and that you can do, right? Because we have the coding modules in N8N. There's, built in the modules, there's like a Copilot style where you can talk to the chat and it'll help you write the code out. So I strongly believe we're just going to get easier and easier as we go further. And eventually this will just purely be a prompt, whether you just give it a script like ChatGPT and they build it out for you, whether you have a Copilot on your computer going into some advanced sci-fi movies, there might be an assistant on your computer that helps you, and you literally just talk to your computer. I mean, we could go to that extent, but that's very far in the future. That's sort of fairy tale stuff. But you could, I'd sit on the computer like this and I say, hey, today let me look at the graphs, or hey, build an automation. I've got this bottleneck. Build an automation for me right now. And then I'll log in and I'll do it from there. And that's really where the future's going. A lot of it's getting autonomous, and really, would it make sense as we go more into an autonomous age? Would it make more sense for us to start bringing back very manual, very detailed, very time-heavy platforms to actually do this stuff? Probably not. Even coding now, we have stuff like Replit and all these no-code vibe coding platforms that do all the coding now for the Python and all our scripts. So even that's getting easier. So logically, it doesn't make sense to have a decline and make stuff harder again. We should be only making it even easier. So in terms of that, the best future for automation is the prompting. It is understanding business. It is understanding how to actually get an AI to do what you want it to do, and then also adding the emotional intelligence. If you're adding stuff like marketing systems, lead generation systems, the AI automation will be very different based on how you give it emotional intelligence, really. And that will be the different factor that will determine success in all the automation. I think when it comes to lead gen, it sort of is now, but it's also very heavily focused on enrichment. So who can get the best data, essentially. Soon that will become very, very easy, and then it'll be who can convince the person, who can connect with them the most. And that's where we sort of see this shoot up. So hopefully that clarifies a lot of questions if anyone answers it. Hopefully, if you're a business owner, these two things should pique your interest. I think I did that bracket the wrong way. But that hopefully they sort of pique the interest and give you, what an expert in the field actually thinks going forward. That sounds a little cocky, an expert in the field, but where we're heading towards. So hopefully that makes sense. If you enjoyed the content, if you have another question you want to ask me, then just chuck it in the comments and I can do another one of these next week and we can get a few extra questions. So other than that, enjoy your day.